Hey, what is up, you guys? I am back for a new MBTI video. Woo! I feel like I haven't made an MBTI related video in quite some time. I did make a video recently on Enneagram, actually 2 videos, kind of my experience on Enneagram and then me as an Enneagram 1 video. So I've still kind of been dipping my toes in the personality arena, but I feel like a lot of you want an MBTI video from me, and more specifically, I feel like you want my take on different personality types. So the reason why I haven't made more videos on other personality types is not because I don't know a lot about them. Objectively, I know a lot about each individual type because I've studied it. Obviously, I still have so much to grow and learn in, but I typically only like to do videos on types that I have a lot of information on, but also have personal relationships with, so that I can actually give a subjective video in the mix with objectivity. And so that's why I haven't made an MBTI or my take on a particular personality type in a while, is because of that. I want to have those relationships in my life so that I can actually give you my personal experience with type, because I think it makes it a little bit more interesting. Obviously, you guys can go on the internet and read about all the different MBTI types, but I think why, or at least I assume the reason why some of you guys watch my videos is because I give information, but I also give my own personal experience with the type. So today I'm going to be talking about ENTJs. I feel like that's been a pretty requested video, is on ENTJs. So today I'm going to be talking about ENTJs. I know, I think 1 or 2, and both confirmed. So what I mean by confirmed is that they actually know about MBTI and they have actually taken the MBTI test and attested themselves being this type. So I try to do that in my video. I don't like talking about people whose type I think I know, but they haven't actually told me what they think, because it's good to, like, I think a lot of times on the internet, people get really cocky with typing others, especially in videos. You'll see on my videos and anyone else that makes MBTI videos, and the comments below out of each video, it'll be different people's opinions on what they think the type is of the person making the video. And they're usually all different, which is hilarious to me. People are so certain that they know other people's types, and yet they're all saying different things in the comments. And I get that on my videos, and honestly, I just think it's funny, and I take it with a grain of salt. I don't get offended if you think I'm a different type. I know myself well enough and live with myself and have studied enough where I know my type, but I think a lot of people on the internet do that, and I think it's kind of funny. So anyways, that's a little side rant. But yeah, so let's get back to ENTJs. So, ENTJs are pretty much the bosses of life. They're like the CEO / leader / badass in MBTI. And honestly, they can come off a little intimidating sometime, but when they're in their role, they are killing it at what they do. And I think that's really amazing about the ENTJ type. Let's just go over some functions really quick. We've got extroverted thinking first, introverted intuition second, extroverted intuition third, and introverted feeling fourth. So we've got TE, NI, SE, FI. So they're very much like their the other MBTI type, INTJ, but they've got extroverted thinking first, which I think makes them INTJs and ENTJs are very similar in that they have all the same cognitive function stack, just like an INFJ or an ENFJ or an ENFP and an INFP, you guys get it. But they're in slightly different order, not too much, but slightly different order. But INTJs and ENTJs kind of have a similar energy, but I would say that the ENTJ has more of a intensity about them. So what I mean by that is that INTJs have NI first, so it's a little bit more of an introverted function, right? So they're more in their head and they're more maybe not as verbal, maybe, but for me, I sense that ENTJs have a more directed energy because of extroverted thinking first. So they've got extroverted thinking, how they think about something and how that logic is applied into the external environment. And then they've got that second function of NI backing it up. So I feel like there's like this intensity that they emote from their personalities, but just from a cognitive function perspective. You very much can sense the energy of a extroverted thinking Dom, in my opinion. You'll very much know what they think about something, and they will very much tell you what they think about something. And not always, but sometimes they can be very stubborn in the way that they think about something. And they very much, everyone really knows the opinions of ENTJs because they'll let you know what they think and why they think that. And I think, again, I don't want to get into too many stereotypes, but I think sometimes that can come off a little bit maybe rigid or narrow in their thinking because it's not a lot of room for interpretation. When they think something, it's kind of stubborn. And I mean, rightfully so, and there is a little bit of arrogance in that, but honestly, I wouldn't even say it's arrogance. It's more like they have studied and looked into something, and through their extroverted thinking, that is what they have, the conclusion they have come to on a topic. So sometimes in conversation with ENTJs, they can seem a little bit closed-minded and intense, but honestly, it's just that they have researched a subject and they usually know what they're talking about in that regard. Extroverted thinking is really also a really cool leadership style. So ENTJs have a very specific leadership style. It is, how do I put this? Strategic, methodical, and like, for instance, you would see a different leadership style with an ENFJ than you would see an ENTJ, because the ENTJ, well, the ENFJ is more about people and organizing people and using their extroverted feeling and their intuitive gifting to kind of to kind of gauge people, to help them, and to kind of motivate them. Where I do feel like ENTJ in their leadership style has a more organizational structure of kind of putting, how do I explain this? I know it intuitively, but I don't have quite the words to express ENTJ's style of leadership. It's organized and it's methodical, and I feel like very basically what I'm trying to say is that they're very good at problem solving and getting people to move towards a common goal in a very efficient and effective way that is super impressive. I mean, we all know, we think of ENTJs, you literally think of like the CEO of a company in a very like business suit and kind of just taking charge of their environment. And although that can be true for certain ENTJs, I will say that I think an ENTJ can be interested in anything, and whatever they're interested in, they'll take charge. So it doesn't necessarily mean in business or as like a CEO. It could be, like, let's say they're interested in the arts or organizing events. They're going to be the boss at whatever they're interested in. So it's not necessarily business. It could be, but it can be a whole range of things they're interested in, and they will probably take charge of that environment just naturally. They're natural born leaders. And when healthy, they're very effective and brilliant leaders, and they can really move people towards a common goal through NI, but also executing that NI vision. I mean, honestly, it's so cool to see, because it's like NI and then paired with that extroverted thinking first, they're really able to take that NI vision and manifest it and see it to fruition in their life with groups of people. ENTJs are very goal-oriented and results-driven. They're all about getting those results done. And I think that can be really helpful in a leadership sense, because sometimes people are scattered and different people have different ideas, or they can just kind of be all over the place. And an ENTJ is able to really organize people into a common goal and put them in their correct places and make sure that things get done and that that goal is completed, which is very helpful in a group setting because sometimes things can be chaotic and crazy. And because you've got that, because their FI function is last, sometimes that can be to their detriment when organizing people because they're not always aware of the emotional cues that people are emoting and they might not pick up on that. But it also serves them in that they don't let the emotional energy of others overwhelm them or move them towards a goal. So it can be a strength and it can be a weakness. And I would say to ENTJs that are in a leadership role to work on developing that FI and even though hard, even maybe trying to gauge FE in your own way, because I think sometimes ENTJs can be in such drive mode that they can unintentionally hurt relationships along the way and not know, because it's just not their strength, but it can be developed. And I actually know a very healthy ENTJ, and me and my husband both are so impressed with him. Not only can he do all the things that I'm saying, but he also has worked really hard to develop his feeling functions. And when he talks to you or when he's planning something, you never feel like it is overdone or overwhelming. It's just the right amount of like drive that can be really helpful towards accomplishing things. ENTJs don't really care as much about what people think, although they do have a high value for the relationships they're close with in their life and do really care. They don't care as much what people think about them in a general sense. And I think that's what makes them brilliant in getting things done. And they can really hone in and focus on what they're doing and not let a lot of outside emotional energy affect them. And I personally really admire that. I don't even know what that's like, to be honest, to not have a high sense of the emotional energy of an atmosphere of a room. Like, I wish that I could just, with my NI, like get things done and not be affected by all the emotional noise that I sense on a daily basis. And, being a strong empath, that can be really hard. I can honestly get distracted with my close relationships and not be able to get something done because I'm so worried or I'm overwhelmed by the emotional energy even in a work environment. So I really, really admire ENTJs and the fact that they can do that. Like, they don't have all that noise all the time, and I don't even know what that's like. So in that way, I really wish that I could be an ENTJ for like a day and see what that's like. And I probably would have a lot more success in all my NI visions that I have because ENTJs are world changers. You hear about them. They're the, they're not only the conceptual, intuitive type, but they get shit done in the world. And for that, we need to thank ENTJs. Another thing that I want to mention about ENTJs is kind of like ENTJs in romantic relationships. Something or advice that I would give to an ENTJ in a romantic relationship is to not be so goal-driven and focused that you neglect your own personal relationships in your life. I think sometimes ENTJs can get so caught up in their goal and what they're doing, and they can often forget to connect with those relationships in their life that are important. And so I think there's just a balance. Like, there's obviously a balance to every type. We all have strengths, we all have weaknesses, we all have things we can grow in. And I would say that's something that I have noticed with maybe one ENTJ in my life, but the other one not at all. Like I said, he's super healthy and super impressive. So just making sure that you're not so focused on a goal that you forget what's important in life and making sure that you stay connected to those relationships. Another thing ENTJs sometimes can tend to do is put their heavy expectations and their drive and kind of goals. They can kind of put that on people that they're close to in their life and have really high expectations and sometimes can be a little bit harsh and critical. And I think one thing I want to say to ENTJs is also to not have so high expectations for significant others in your life, because that could emotionally affect them and drain them, especially if they don't have the same type of goals or interests as you. But overall, I think ENTJs are super badass. They're doing so many great things in this world, and yeah. Alright guys, well this is just a quick video of the ENTJ type. I hope you enjoyed, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!